Okay, we're recording.
Hello, Australia. I am Tyler Horton, Senior Director of Global Product Marketing here at LifeVantage, and I am joined with Lisa Barnes, our Vice President of Research and Development. Hello, Lisa.
Hey guys.
And today we're here to talk to you about a topic that is a little bit odd for us because I think today it's going to get up to like 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Is that right, Lisa?
Yeah,
Something
it's
like
supposed to
that?
be somewhere around there. So in the upper 30s, I believe, Celsius. I was doing some quick Googling before this. Yeah, it's hot enough. We're not used to this kind of heat whatsoever. Like I usually run outside and that's just not happening. So I'm resorting to running on a treadmill, which is usually my arch nemesis. So yes, it's hot here.
So even though we are in the throes of summer right now, we understand that it is your winter there in Australia, and we wanted to talk to you about two health topics that are related to winter weather. First of all, how winter weather affects your skin, and then secondly, how it affects your immunity.
And then we're going to link it to some products and in what some case, some ingredients, which you're going to be very familiar with. So you're going to make some connections that will help you address these concerns that'll come from the winter. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll share my screen so we can see a lovely PowerPoint as we go along. Okay, you're seeing the right screen, Tyler?
Yes.
Okay. I just changed my office and my screens are different, so who knows what will happen. It's like the Wild Wild West. Okay. So Tyler mentioned a little bit what the two challenges were, and the first one was dry skin. There we go. And so what's happening that's causing dry skin? So just to put it really simply, skin likes consistency. It likes to be in the same temperature, the same humidity, in the same conditions all of the time. So when you have the weather changing like crazy, going from cold to hot, or honestly, when you go from hot outside to air conditioning, it's like a shock to your system. So it can really take its toll on your skin as it adjusts to that new environment. So your skin's going to have to work harder to maintain adequate hydration as cold weather and wind and different factors start kicking in. And so as it's trying to adjust, it can lead to cracks in the outer skin, loss of hydration, and inflammation, all which can seriously impact the overall state of your skin health. What you can see kind of in this diagram here, actually make sure my mouse is over there, is with the way normal skin works is if your barrier is intact, all the moisture stays in, all the external irritants stay out. It's a perfect barrier. You're protected. It's like one of your main protective like layers you have. But if there are cracks or chinks in that armor, you're going to end up with water loss because water can just escape. And then it's a two-way path. So external irritants can also get in there as well. And so you're going to be more susceptible to irritation. And so it's not just the temperature alone. So that's what's important for you guys as well, is just because it's not getting down to ridiculously low temperatures where you are, it's the sudden switches in weather coupled with different lifestyle changes that you may incorporate as you get older. So if you're getting a little bit colder, maybe you're taking more hot showers, or you're using heat, or you're like anything that like that will contribute to this dryness. So anything that you're changing. So I mentioned earlier air conditioning, but it works the opposite way if you go into from colder weather to heat as well. So anything that's that rapid switch. And so the question then comes, what do we do about it? So first, you need to be super gentle. You need to avoid stripping your skin's natural oils. That's what's going to keep you hydrated. You need to repair that barrier. So if your barrier is compromised, irritants are getting in, water is getting out, you need to help repair that and bring that into balance so that you go back to equilibrium. And then you need hydration. And there's two things you're going to see in your skincare products. You're going to want some short-term solutions. So think if you see glycerin in your product or hyaluronic acid or some of like what we call emollients, which bring moisture to the skin, or humectants, which bring moisture from the atmosphere into your skin, that'll give you a short-term solution. But the long-term solution is activation and really working with your body's own natural hydrating factors, natural moisturizing factors. And so once again, that's why you would want to go with an approach similar to, well, you want our approach of LifeVantage, our differentiation of activation going to the source to actually fix the problem. So you have a long-term solution to it. So gentle cleansing, fix that barrier, and then hydration, both short-term and then going to the root of the problem as well. And thankfully, we have some fantastic products that can talk about.
I was gonna say, I'm sure you have a perfect solution for all of those problems, right?
Yes. And so we have True Clean, gentle cleansing, non-stripping cleansing ingredients, and then you're going to have gentle exfoliation. What's cool about exfoliation is that as you stimulate your own skin's natural exfoliation patterns through these gentle exfoliants, you actually help the skin produce its own hydrating factors, its own collagen, its own different building blocks just through the simple act of exfoliation, which is cool. So you don't always, like, that's the first step you can take, is doing this gentle cleansing and this exfoliation. Then
On True Clean, I can testify, like I really like that. I like all these products. I use all these products every day. But the non-stripping part, I 100% agree with. So like lots of times when you use, especially a face wash, you get out of the shower, you dry your skin off, and it just feels like tight and like it's gonna crack. You don't get that feeling with True Clean. Like it still feels like the moisture that you want it to have is still intact.
well, and kind of tying that back in with what I was mentioning earlier, and those sudden shifts in temperature and environment, if you keep that constant level of hydration and don't get to that point of tightness and dryness, your barrier is going to stay much more intact. And so you're going to kind of ease your skin in and out of heat and cold and different factors and help it to be more pliable, more flexible, stronger, so that you don't have those issues. So I think that's a huge thing. And so if your cleanser is giving you that tight sensation that Tyler was talking about, then you probably don't have the right one. And that's why you should use True Clean. And then going to the barrier and supporting that resilient moisture barrier, we have True Renew, which has wild pansy, which helps with that. We have the True Lift to help support the delicate skin around the eyes, because it also needs barrier repair. It also needs hydration. It needs activation from within as well. And then True Hydrate, which is really that master hydrating product. It's going to provide that short-term hydration, but then also supporting the skin's own natural hydration processes. And that's what I really love about the True Science collection, is that each product has its own specific benefit, its own specific way of using activation to get to the root of skin concerns. And that can be something we talk about more another day. But through that, it's able to have complementary benefits, which will help you as you have these transitory times, which could be so difficult for your skin, but it helps to ease it. So you go into the seasons and have that transition easier, because you have enough going on as you go from summer to winter and you switch all the seasons in your life. There's enough happening that you don't need to worry about your skin, because that's just something that's, yeah, we will take that off your plate. We'll take that worry off your plate. So that's kind of the skin piece. You keep your skin's natural oils, fix that barrier, bring that hydration short-term and long-term using True Science. But what gets kind of really cool is immunity, because that always does shift as seasons change. And the question is why? And so as you have cold weather, you're actually more likely to get sick. And some of that's not just temperature related, though some of that is, because your innate immune system response is slower and lessened with cold air. But even just the behaviors that you have when when it's colder, you're gonna have less fresh air because you're gonna be staying in the heat. You're gonna have more close quarters with people. And we all know, if you've ever had your kids at daycare, or you've traveled in an airplane or anywhere where you're around tons of people for a long period of time, odds are you're going to be sick all of the time, and your immune system is just being completely assaulted all of the time. I'm thinking in a couple of weeks, I'm going to San Diego, where I'm going to be around like large groups of people, and it's almost inevitable each time when I get back, like we call it the crud that we get afterwards, because you're going to be down and out for a few days unless you really prep your immune system to be around lots and lots of people who may not be always in the optimal state of health. So kind of going to, I mentioned innate immunity. What is that? Because you may not be familiar with it. So it's that first part of the body to detect invaders or sense wounds or trauma. Think of it, you get a paper cut, your body's going to react to be able to start healing from that paper cut. It's going to send signals to your body. There's pain, so you'll do something about it. So you have all of these intricate systems that are all set off. And so once it kind of detects that something's happening, it's going to activate the cells to attack and destroy the outsider or to initiate repair. And it's going to kind of work side by side with your adaptive immune response that will follow. It'll be that next line of defense. But something that we experience quite frequently is that our innate immune system can get caught up in cycles of stress or hyperreactivity. So it's kind of, think about it in your own life, your own personal life. When you're facing stress after stress after stress after stress, you never have that time to kind of relax and be able to rest and repair yourself and be able to just get back to your optimal state. You're constantly in a state of, is something else going to happen? Is something else going to happen? You're on a state of defense. And your cells are the same way. Once they experience stress, a lot of times they'll stay at that heightened response level for long periods of time. And when they're in that state, they're not able to do what they normally do. They're not able to repair. They're not able to rejuvenate. They're not able to have the correct cellular functions that they normally would have. They kind of reduce those cellular functions to be on the alert for any threats. And so when you're caught up in those cycles of stress, things are not working the way they should.
And so how do you break that cycle, Lisa?
Well, thankfully, there's been some research done on that. And it all goes down to what triggers that cycle of stress. And there's a master switch that there is, and it's called NF-kappa B. And what NF-kappa B does is when there is some sort of stress, it's actually, the switch is made up of multiple components because the body is incredible and it's not just super simple. So there's 5 different components that make up NF-kappa B. And so those all assemble, make the switch, which then starts signaling the body so it can have this response. And so your NF-kappa B is like constantly going, constantly upregulated, constantly going. And so you need to do something to kind of address that right at the source instead of just tackling symptom after symptom. I think we're so used to seeing symptoms and just trying to put a Band-Aid on them. I'm experiencing this, let's suppress this cough. I get a fever, I want to suppress this fever. We want to take care of the symptoms, but we're not actually going to the root to address why we're having these symptoms. And that's why we need to go right to the source with the switch, NF-kappa B. And thankfully, has been research on ingredients. And once again, there's a blend of 5 botanicals, fish collagen, red quinoa, and a berry citrus blend that you may or may not be familiar with.
That sounds really familiar to me. I can't seem to place it, but I feel like
gotta love Australia regulatory environment, but hopefully you can draw some lines there to what products may contain ingredients such as this. And what's cool is that these ingredients, so the blend of 5 botanicals, and then this fish collagen, red quinoa, that kind of blend, each have benefits on their own. The 5 botanicals really work on oxidative stress. The fish collagen and red quinoa work on activating your body's own collagen and maintaining it. So they seem to have very distinct functions, but when you combine them together, it's been shown in studies to help balance that innate immune response. Because once again, it goes back to that NF-kappa B. When it's constantly activated, that's when you're going to be stuck in that stress cycle, and that's where the blend of ingredients come in. It, first of all, will downregulate the components that create that master switch, so those 5 little components. It also actually upregulates these enzymes that will break apart the switch. So you're going to have less components. Some of the NF-kappa B that's already been assembled, you're going to break down some of that, so you'll have less response. And then you also see less signaling proteins as well, which are going to be what's communicating throughout your body that there's still stress. So the overall result is a more balanced innate immune response. And if your cells are more balanced, they're going to be able to respond more optimally and healthier. So because you're going to have the time to repair and you're going to just function better. And kind of tying it a little bit more to these changing seasons, it's going to allow your body to be more vigilant to outside insults instead of just being caught up in these ongoing stress cycles internally. So you're going to be able to, it's like, once again, going back to your own personal life, if you're caught up in your internal stressors and anxiety and just internal drama, then you're not going to be able to really interact with the outside world and be able to do what you want to do. You're not going to be living your optimal life. But if everything's calm and balanced on the inside, then you feel like you actually have the bandwidth to be able to address the outside world. And it'll be the same way with these cells. So it's going to be setting your body up for better success because it's not going to be occupied with this stress response on the inside at all. So kind of looking at this, you have the skin. So we have things that use activation to be able to get to the root of what causes your skin to have issues as seasons change, barrier, hydration. And then we also can use activation through different ingredients and specialized combinations of ingredients that have been very well tested to go to the source of what's causing these ongoing hyperreactivity stress cycles and be able to go to the root of NF-kappa B and essentially downregulate that response so it's more in balance. And just quick note, whenever I talk about this, I want to always emphasize balance. Because I think we tend to think of things simplistically as I want to turn something on and I want to turn something off. Very binary, black and white. But our body is more complex than that. It needs to be in perfect rhythm or perfect balance. And so things need to be constantly turned on and off so that you end up with the correct levels and correct balance of different processes within your body.
So it's more like a dimmer switch, right? It's not an on or off,
Yes,
it's a up or down type of thing.
exactly. It's you're being able to dial in your body. It's not just a binary turn off and on, because it would be really dangerous if we were doing that. If we were just turning something on, because if you're only turning something on continuously, that's not good for your body. That leads you down some bad pathways. And if you turn it off completely, you're dead. So we don't want to do any of that. We want to have that balance. And that's why going to the root with activation is so important, because if you're working with your body's natural processes, your body knows how to be healthy. Your body knows what it's supposed to be doing. And so if we're just helping to support those processes with these blends of ingredients, then we're just supporting your body in what it already knows how to do. It's able to make those balances and bring your body into perfect harmony. And so I think from the science side, that's what I just want to cover is like, as you're going from these extremes, as seasons are changing, as you go from cold to hot, as you're facing different stresses in that way, as the seasons change, we have solutions for you. And not just solutions that kind of sound good on the outside, but solutions that are based in science and research. And that should be the cornerstone of your winter product use.
Well, thank you, Lisa. Even though it's not winter here, I feel fully prepared for our winter on how to protect my skin health and support my internal health. So I really appreciate it. I'm sure all of our Australian viewers appreciate it too. Hope you all have a great winter, and we'll try to survive the summer here. Thank you again, Lisa, and we'll see you all soon.
Okay, thank you.